Yeah, Justin, in that the final drive, KJ Hill, Jalen got big catches. What ways have those two receivers improved?
Yeah, they've done an incredible job picking up the offense, and it's not an easy offense, and we kind of touched on that last week. But for them to come into this offense and have such a good feel for some of those routes that they ran in zone, be able to sit down, give me their eyes, I think that's huge from them.
When you look at this Dallas defense and you look at the difficulty that they present, especially when they were able last week to stop the running back, the Bucs running backs about 46 yards, what challenges do they present? How do you overcome those challenges moving forward to get the ball?
Yeah, they forced a lot of turnovers last week, and that's something that we have to be smart about going into this week. And we have to emphasize fundamentals and ball security because they did a good job forcing turnovers last week. And they've got some real athletic guys. Some of those linebackers are some of the best in the world. So it's a tough defense, but a good opportunity for us.
What have you seen from their secondary primarily as you watched on film this week with Fairman?
Yeah, they've got some really good cover guys. They run some pretty good coverages, and they're well coached. And so it's going to be on us to find our matchups and to win those.
The AFC West went 4-0 in Week 1. Any thoughts about what you took away from play of your division opponents?
I think it's a tough division. Going back to last year and having played those guys, I've always thought pretty highly of the AFC West, and certainly the Chiefs and the Broncos and certainly the Raiders. They all played well last week.
Dan Quinn obviously comes from that Seattle tree, same as Gus Bradley. Just from what you saw in film Week 1, is it a lot of cover 3, or are they mixing it up a little bit more?
It's a little different. Last year when we played the Falcons, it doesn't really quite show up into what they played last week, and so we're kind of have to go off of the preseason games that the Cowboys played, kind of putting together a game plan because it's not really similar to what Falcons ran last year.
Micah Parsons was one of those guys that, coming out of the draft, was called one of the best defensive players coming out of the draft. What have you seen from him on film?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that you have to block. You have to find him wherever he is on the field, and he's been able to do plenty of good things on defense. And whether he's lined up over tight ends or running backs, or whether he's blitzing, he's been all over the field and making plays.
I'm sure you can appreciate what Dak has done to come back from a really bad injury. Thoughts on that, and do you have any communication, or have you with him during the offseason?
I've just met him a couple times. We throw with the same quarterback coach, John Beck. Just kind of talked with him briefly about, I'm excited to watch him play this year. Hopefully he stays healthy. And, coming back from one of those injuries, it's never easy. But he's done an incredible job battling back, and wish him nothing but the best.
Hey, Justin, going back to that final drive of the game, when you guys got the ball, what was your mindset? Was the mindset to run the clock out? Was it to go down the score? Or just kind of keep away from the defense? What was the mindset as you started the drive?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the mindset is always to keep getting first downs. And as long as you're moving the chain, you're wasting time and you're getting the ball down the field. And whenever you're backed up like that and you have to punt, you're going to put your defense in a kind of a tough position. So as long as we can get the ball out of our backed up end zone, get the ball moving, and fortunately we put together quite a drive and wasted the rest of the clock, so it was good for us.
On Monday, Brandon talked about and really commended you for the timing that you played with in the pocket. What do you think that was attributed to? Was it the protection that you had? Was it working with Shane, all throughout training camp and preseason, that specific thing, a combination?
I think it's a lot of those things. Having great protection is obviously one of the biggest things for us. But I think having a good plan and getting the ball out quickly and knowing your reads and finding those guys open and having receivers that run great routes and get open, I think that kind of all ties in together to get the ball out quick.
How was the communication with Corey Linsley throughout the game? Obviously, you guys, the offensive line played pretty good as a whole. Corey Linsley specifically, how did you guys communicate that?
Yeah, he did an incredible job. And we got up to the ball quickly, got the mic ID, and we worked silent cadence. We were able to go on our own cadence when we were under center, so we didn't have any issues, and that's just a good week of preparation and another thing that we have to touch on this week.
How impressive was Rashawn Slater? Now that you guys have kind of watched some of that film, how impressive did you think his performance was for being his first game?
Yeah, he did an incredible job, and for not having played football in almost 2 years, it's really impressive. And what he was able to do against one of the best defensive ends in the world, I think he played really impressive.
What's it like to be 1-0 just to get the season going in a positive direction?
It's a great start, and from what we have to do now is we have to turn our focus to the Cowboys, and we have to do everything we can to give ourselves a shot on Sunday. And you can't look ahead, you can't look too far down the season, so it's all about this week.
Going back to that, what makes him such a good quarterback?
I think he's really smart. I think he's able to make all the plays. He's athletic, and his arm strength is obviously off the charts. So he's kind of got all the tools and weapons, and especially when you put him together with some pretty good running backs and some receivers, he's going to be able to do some pretty impressive things.
Justin, I think it was after the game, the scrimmage practice, whatever you guys had at SoFi, you talked to us about how you had not worn a wristband with the plays.
Mm-hmm.
But Sunday it looked like you did. Is that what you're planning going forward, that you're going to have were you wearing one Sunday? I didn't.
Yeah, that's a backup plan. There were some play calls that got up to be 17 to 18 words long, and so those are, if you're in the huddle and it's loud and you can't hear the play, that's a backup plan you can go to. And I think I went to it maybe once or twice, but we only had probably 15 to 20 plays on it.
And then communicating at the line of scrimmage, was that at all a challenge there, or were you able to do silent everything you needed to do?
Yeah, we practiced silent all week, so I felt like we had a pretty good beat for it going into the game. We kind of expected to have to go on silent, but all the guys worked together really well on that, so it went well.
In terms of the protection issues, in terms of the protection and being clean and stuff, how much did it help early, kind of those short, quick passes? Because it seemed like as the game went along, those intermediate and long routes opened up.
That's a great point, and that's one of those things that you have to do against teams like that have such a great front seven. You have to get the ball out quick, and as soon as you get the ball out quick, some of those rush guys, they kind of have to loosen up a little bit because that you're getting the ball out quickly. They have to play differently, and as soon as you get that to happen, you can start nudging them and getting running backs on them and tight ends on them. So I think that was a big part of our game plan.
How rewarding was it to give Coach Staley the game ball after the game?
It was really cool. That was one of the game balls that I took. The ref ended up telling me to keep the ball off the field. I put it in my locker, and he was giving them out, and I thought it was a good idea to go get that one and give it to him because the first one's always special, so was really happy for him.
Justin, this is the first game with Chargers fans at SoFi. What kind of environment are you expecting?
A lot of excitement. It's been a lot of fun being able to play at that place, and last year was awesome, but to not have fans and kind of go through that was a little weird, and some of aspects you miss about football, and so having fans there this Sunday, I think it'll definitely be a cool experience.
Justin, you mentioned it earlier, like facing cover two defenses, and I've done it, probably since high school even earlier. What makes that coverage shell so challenging against you? What makes you say?
Yeah, I think anytime you disguise your looks and make the offense think the coverage is something else and be able to bring pressure and drop guys out from other places, I think that's always a challenge. And teams that disguise really well are normally pretty good teams. And so when they're really well coached and they make their looks look like certain other looks, I think that's really tough.
How does it feel to have bragging rights over Joey and KJ?
Awesome win by the Ducks. Was super proud of those guys, and just to be able to watch that game. I only got to see the first three quarters because we ended up getting on the plane, but super proud of them, and they definitely fought. It's not easy going on the road, especially in Columbus, so it was a big win for them.
Reach out to CJ or Anthony Brown or Mario?
I texted a couple of the guys. Unfortunately, Cam McCormick, who was one of the guys that got hurt, has had a tough go in college, and I know he's going to fight through this, and he'll be back. So.
Justin, did you get a chance to talk to your family about the environment? So many Chargers fans in the crowd. Because I think your family was there in the middle of that. Did you ask your parents about that?
No, I just said hi to them and thanked them for coming. Didn't get to talk to them too much.
When are you giving the people your brisket recipe?
Never.
Do you remember playing with Kayvon Thibodeau at all? And I guess, what was your first impression of him? Yeah,
my first impression actually was we were lifting partners in the weight room, and so his freshman year we were paired up together, and he came in at maybe 17, 18 years old, and I was 20, 21, and he was able to outlift me by a couple 100 pounds, so I knew then that he was going to be a special player.
It seemed like Ohio State was always the mountain that Oregon couldn't get over. Just for the program and being there, how big of a win was that?
Well, I think it's huge, and I think, you look back to some of the Rose Bowls that they ended up playing and some of those close games that Oregon just couldn't get over, and for them to go on the road to Columbus, to the Horseshoe, and be able to pull a win like that, I think it sets them up going forward.
Justin, where do you feel like it's something that you guys need to improve? I mean, obviously you guys got the victory, but there's always room for improvement. What do you feel like you guys need to improve on heading into Sunday?
I think some of the things that you brought up, I think going on the road and having our road record be better than what it was last year, and being a road team that's able to go and put up a good fight, and I think being able to take a win like that on Sunday, especially on the road, is definitely tough for us.
It's going to be a one-year anniversary of your first start against the Chiefs. think September 20th. Do you care about that day at all? Do you look back at on that?
No, I haven't spent too much time looking back on that. I think we're always looking forward, and we have got a great opportunity against the Cowboys on Sunday, and we're doing everything we can to prepare to give ourselves a shot on Sunday.